Apple's swift response to the ban of its iPhone 16 and Apple Watch 10 series in Indonesia is a clear indication of how crucial the Southeast Asian market is to its global strategy. The sales ban, imposed by Indonesia's Ministry of Industry, was the result of Apple's failure to comply with the country's local content rule, which mandates that companies producing and selling devices in Indonesia must ensure that at least 40% of the content used in their products is sourced locally. This is part of Indonesia's broader push to stimulate local manufacturing, reduce reliance on foreign imports, and boost its own technology sector. To resolve the issue and pave the way for the iPhone 16 series and Apple Watch 10 series to be sold in Indonesia, Apple has committed to investing $10 million into a new factory in Bandung. The factory will be dedicated to producing accessories and components for Apple devices, such as chargers, cables, and other essential parts, which will be used in the assembly of its products. The investment will be made in collaboration with Yeojo Corporation, a local supplier that already works with Apple. This partnership will enable Apple to meet the 40% local content requirement and adhere to the investment commitments set forth by Indonesian regulations. The move represents Apple's broader strategy of localizing production in key markets. Similar to other tech giants, Apple has increasingly faced pressure from governments to localize its supply chain in various countries. For example, Apple has already established manufacturing partnerships in India and China, where it assembles iPhones to meet local demand while also complying with government regulations. However, in Indonesia, Apple's previous failure to meet the local content requirement had significant consequences, as it left the company vulnerable to regulatory pushback that resulted in the temporary suspension of its product sales. The $10 million factory investment is expected to not only address the immediate ban on the iPhone 16 and Apple Watch 10 series, but also strengthen Apple's position in Indonesia and potentially other Southeast Asian markets. By complying with the local content regulations, Apple will not only be able to resume its sales in Indonesia but also contribute to the country's manufacturing sector, thereby supporting the government's goals of job creation and economic development. Apple's response also highlights the growing importance of Indonesia as a key market in the smartphone industry. The country is home to one of the largest and fastest-growing mobile phone markets in the world, with a population of over 270 million people, many of whom are increasingly adopting high-end smartphones. Apple's investment in local manufacturing aligns with its long-term growth strategy in the region, especially as it competes with other smartphone giants like Samsung and Chinese brands such as Xiaomi and Oppo, which have already established significant market shares in Indonesia. However, Apple is not alone in facing these types of regulatory challenges. Google, too, has been affected by Indonesia's local content rule. Google's Pixel 9 series faced a similar ban in the country for not meeting the 40% local content requirement. This highlights the fact that Indonesia is becoming a regulatory battleground for global tech companies, and any failure to comply with local laws could result in severe consequences for these companies' ability to operate in one of Southeast Asia's largest markets. In conclusion, Apple's $10 million investment in Indonesia marks an important development in the ongoing relationship between multinational tech companies and governments in emerging markets. While the investment aims to resolve the immediate issue of the iPhone 16 and Apple Watch 10 series ban, it also demonstrates Apple's commitment to local manufacturing and adherence to national regulations. Moving forward, this could have a significant impact on the company's operations in Southeast Asia, and could set a precedent for how other tech giants navigate similar challenges in the region.